Hello, YTPC. Parsimonious Piper coming at you on a very nice North Carolina afternoon. Sunny and warm, not too hot, not too humid. This is the inaugural edition of Morsels for Mental Manducation. But first, Missouri Meerschaum, MacArthur, filled with Milan Tobacconist Cherry Velvet. If you have tried a bunch of cherry tobaccos and think they all get goopy and have a chemical taste, try Milan Tobacconists. They have got Cherry Velvet, Cherry Bonbon, both of which have a nice cherry flavor, and for me, at least, they don't get goopy. They burn fairly dry all the way down. Nice cherry flavor, not overwhelming. Good stuff. Last few days, we've seen our country turned upside down by rioting and looting all across the country. But according to the New York Times, George Floyd and the police officer that we've seen kneeling on his neck in this horrific video worked at the same nightclub as security for a while. Did they know each other? Did they actually work together? We don't know. Could there have been bad blood between them? Maybe a grudge? That would sort of change what we saw in that video, but we don't know. The truth is that the facts have not all been gathered, and yet we've all rushed to judgment that this was police brutality or racism or both. It might be. Either way, this officer needs to have the book thrown at him. What he did was not justifiable. But the rioting and looting, the demonstrations, have been against police brutality. What if this wasn't police brutality? What if it was vengeful because he didn't like the guy? We don't know. But the court of public opinion has already decided and adjourned. If in a conversation I mention the obvious facts that your economic standing is very closely related to whether or not you stayed in school, at least graduated high school, whether you're working, whether you waited and got married before having children, all of those are clear statistical correlations to economic success, or at least not living in poverty. If I mention any of those things, I'm accused of a microaggression, which the left equates with actual violence. Now, over the past couple of days, I've seen thugs rioting and looting in the streets. And I'm told that that's an act of free speech. So, actual free speech is aggression. Actual aggression and violence is free speech. George Orwell called it nicely. I have a quote for you. Let me read it. Make sure I get it right. Who said this? Quote, "This is chaos. A protest has purpose. When Dr. King was assassinated, we didn't do this to our city. If you want change in America, go and register to vote." End quote. Some white supremacists trying to hold blacks down. Right-wing, conservative, Republican, racist. Nope. That would be Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom, a liberal black female. She ticks off most of the woke checkboxes. Now, we may not agree on anything politically, but she's right. This is not the condemnation of the rioting and looting. It's not a racial thing. It's a human thing. It's a moral thing. Finally, question for my fellow Americans. Do you think we live in a free society, a free country, built on the rule of law? Last couple of months, businesses all across the country have been closed, primarily because their owners are afraid of the state, that the state will arrest them, will fine them, or will revoke their business licenses and remove their ability to provide for their families. Pastors in numerous states have been arrested for holding church services with more than the government-approved number of people, whether that's 10, 25, 50. Arrested for holding church services. But over the past couple of days, I've seen tens of thousands of thugs line the streets of our cities, destroying cars, burning businesses to the ground. Outright theft, just looting. I'm looking at you. That TV you just took has nothing to do with justice for a black man killed by a white police officer. Nothing at all. Rule of law? Not so sure about that. We have different laws that apply to us versus those tens of thousands of rioters. Just a little food for thought. With that, keep them lit. Enjoy what you're smoking. Come back at you later.